Alrighty, we are the Stargrove concept art team, led by your Step 2020 art directors, and let's introduce ourselves. Oh, there we go.
Hi, I'm Paige Brunson. I was the lead art director for the downtown half of Stargrove, and I'm also on the marketing and food and beverage team.
Hello, I am D'Angelo Reyes. I am also a lead art director, and I'm a civil engineering major and theater minor at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. And I was in charge of the suburb section of Stargrove, and I'm also on the marketing and master planning teams.
Hello, my name is Frederick Kayers. I was the Associate Art Director on STEP. I am studying a Master's in Digital Arts at École Nat in Montreal, and I was in charge of the overall park atmosphere and designs and also the attractions.
Oh,
So here's a glimpse into our virtual creative process. As an international team, time zone coordination was challenging, but we managed through Zoom meetings and Google Drive file sharing. Additionally, during our story rewrite, we had a lot of sketching and brainstorming sessions, but once we finalized our designs, we mainly used SketchUp to model the buildings and Photoshop to render our concept art.
great. And now we're going to talk about our overall Stargrove Park layout. Now get ready for this one. We started off with our master planning SketchUp model, which myself and Jack Miller worked on. If you were here earlier, we showed this off in our master planning presentation. But we pretty much took this image and then decided to paint over it. And I'll let Frederick talk about our grand bird's eye view. Here it is.
So yeah, for this bird's eye view of the map, we took the 3D model of the previous slide and then decided to divide it into three parts for each of us to draw. For example, D'Angelo had the suburbia area to the right, Paige had the downtown area to the left, and then I did the backside and the entrance. We went for a style in the sorry, yes, sorry, D'Angelo. We decided to go for a style like Universal uses for their Universal Studios Beijing concept art, and I think it turned out pretty great. Okay, go ahead.
Great. So then, in addition to that bird's eye view, we also worked on creating this overhead map, which you've seen before during the master planning presentation earlier today. But pretty much to sum it up, it's the sort of top-down view of the entire park, mostly used for technical reasons, but also sort of we were able to give it a more artistic feel, especially with this main look. On the sides here, you have the zoning areas of each land, and this bottom one on the right as well is advocated for guest flow. So all those red lines sort of give a rough indication of where sort of the crowd flow of the park is going throughout. And then now we're going to talk about our entrance gateway.
For the left artwork, I decided to try and mimic the atmosphere of the park, which is palm trees and pink colored palm trees. And then with the entrance gates in the back with some roller coaster tracks, a bit of the mountains to the right, and a big castle to the left, and then some stars because it's like the future and the aliens are the theme of the park.
And sort of to top off on our entrance here, it's if you can already tell, it's very heavily inspired by that retro futuristic architecture, especially the Tomorrowland, Disneyland fins look a lot like this. That was a big inspiration, at least when I was designing these. And then we also have our ticket booths over here and a sort of walking path for whatever, say, parking structure or area that these sort of buses that lead to this hub come from. But there are two kind of options to get here. And then you sort of go down a palm tree lined street. There's also guest relations and tickets and everything else. Here is another view of that entrance. So now we'll talk about our park landmark, which you probably have seen.
So I designed an early version of the UFO shown on the left, and this was before the story rewrite and before Propel HQ took its true form and would become the park landmark.
So then, as Paige mentioned, with the story rewrite came a redesign of this park icon as a central weenie, as it's called in the industry, to sort of guide people's view down into the rest of the park. On the right side here, I have these sort of concept sketches, and number four gravitated a lot towards many people. So I decided to take that concept a step further, and we ended up coloring it, sort of changing up the lengths of the towers. The whole concept of this weenie sort of emphasizes the almost sustainable nature of Stargrove as a park in general. That retro futuristic look with all the organic lines, again with plants and water features, that's sort of a main theme that spreads around throughout the rest of the park. But as you can see, here's some color designs for it. Ultimately went with the purple. And then here is our model for master planning that Jack and I made. And then finally, here is a mood board that we kind of used as inspiration, taking a lot again from that nature look and that organic sort of retro futuristic look as well. And here's the finished piece that I created. And also here it is at night. Everything lights up really beautiful purple and blue. There's a rainbow tone on the inside. And there's also a fun idea we bounced around of having this dome as almost a sort of projection thing for potential gate advertisements or gate related content. So a very wonderful place to house the downtown show. And again, sort of to go through these, this is also from the downtown show by Sarah Lito, the insides, as well as an earlier costume sketch by Tahara for an AI character before some story changes. All right, now we're going to talk about downtown Stargrove.
So Stargrove is divided into half, with our first major section being downtown Stargrove, and the stunning skyline was sketched by D'Angelo.
For the overall atmosphere and mood of downtown, it changed quite a bit from the first story to the story rewrite. First, we wanted to go for a 50s futuristic view of buildings, but then when the story change came to go for a more futuristic alien park, I decided that the future would look more naturey and with more plants and water everywhere. And the others thought this was a good idea. So then we went for this more naturey and alive and dynamic architecture. And every building is how do you say it? Every building is surrounded by nature, and nature is actually part of the architecture. So these are some of my first designs for buildings for downtown. As you can see, I went with a more organic look of buildings, and every building is full of plants and very dynamic shapes. Some of these buildings can be found in the downtown right now.
If you were here for the retail presentation earlier, as they mentioned, this is one of their stores called Georgie's. I designed their facade in keeping in tandem with what Frederick was talking about that sort of organic look with a little bit of greenery thrown in, or in this case, red, pink plants, still keeping in with that nature theme. Additionally, also, this is the other retail location I designed for the facade of the Galactic Exchange. Again, with the nature theme, with the palm trees and the retro futuristic architecture.
The first downtown ride is Cosmic Countdown, a dark ride where guests travel across time to save Stargrove. I illustrated the poster on the left, and Jack Keaton did the concept art to the right. The facade and entrance of this ride went through a lot of redesigns, from a traditional university to a museum to a science center, and the final building ended up being the Institute of Interstellar Innovation. Here is the final product. Since it is an institute, I went for a more futuristic metal style with purple accents, which relate back to the ride's main plot point of dealing with a purple energy source. I aim for this facade to convey movement and wave through geometric shapes that lead one's eyes towards the ride's entrance. I wanted to depict a foreign vision of the future parallel to the ride. This next piece is a ride scene from inside Cosmic Countdown, also designed by me, and it's an elite group of aliens having a dinner party right before a major power outage occurs. The next downtown ride is the roller coaster. This wonderful poster designed to the left is by Emily Lee with a collaboration with marketing, and the street view to the right is by Bailey Griffin. The downtown coaster is located at the Stargrove Department of Flying Vehicles, or SDFV, where guests learn to drive flying cars high above Stargrove. Here is a futuristic alien DMV I designed for the team.
Alrighty, so now we're gonna move to the east side of the park, otherwise known as the suburbs of Stargrove. And here is a mountain range that sort of anchors the suburbs to the rest of Stargrove. And then on here on the bottom, you can see some of the house renders that I created early on. So, really quickly to talk about our mood board for this. Again, the heavy inspiration of that mid-century modern aesthetic as well, kind of taking those forms and those classic houses you've seen before and exaggerating them to just make them more alien and honestly more interesting to look at. I also put into this mood board as well some of the mountain ranges, definitely that were inspirations for our own Stargrove mountain ranges, taking exactly from Zion National Park arches, a lot of those Utah sort of orange brown mountain ranges that you find in those parks. And again, like I said, here's some of those housing designs I did very early on. I was able to color this one on the left, which again uses that pastel look that a lot of those houses from that time period tend to go for, a more pastel light look. And again, incorporating nature and water features.
For the roller coaster in the Siberia area, I worked closely with Matt Bashford, who made these three designs. You can go to the next slide, please. So the Suburbia coaster, the Suburbia coaster has a big plant theme, as the lab is a sort of plant lab. I got these two top left designs by Matt, which is the roller coaster car and the building. Me and Matt were talking about how to represent the roller coaster and the intensity of the roller coaster. So Matt had the idea to have the coaster come out of the dome and have plans follow the car. So I drew this out for him, and this line art was the result. And then in the next slide, I have the painted version. I decided to turn the painting a bit so to make it more dynamic. We can see some of the coaster in the back, and then the whole building has that white pastel-y feeling with glass domes and glass windows where you can see plants, and then the coaster coming towards the camera, which I thought was a cool aspect.
Alrighty, and then this is some more concept art for the flat ride Mechatron that is also located in the suburbs. We have a wonderful poster here by Emily from marketing as well. And then we have a lot of concept art here from Yanitsa. So we have the facade over here and the interiors, which you've seen during their presentation. Again, this is some more bunker concept art, which I'll show you right now. And they made these amazing gifts.
Up next is the Elliptica Eatery, a 4-story dining area with a perfect view of the nighttime spectacular gate showcase. This building also went through a lot of redesigns, trying to figure out the best way to organize multiple restaurants while keeping the waterfront view. Eventually, we decided on a circular building with stacked domes on top. Each dome offers a unique dining experience. The elliptical eatery has a prime location with a stunning 365-degree view of Stargrove. Here are some interior shots of the Elliptica Eatery. The Nova Lounge and Deep Spaceport offer interactive dining experiences with projections transporting guests into space and varying galactical planets.
And again, we kind of towards the bottom of the suburbs, we have the suburb maze, Glimforb's Escape. Here's a poster I designed with all the character designs of sort of aliens you'll encounter, as well as the star, Glimforb himself. And then on the right side, we have some facade concepts by Corbin, which are used on the outside, this blue one, and the green and peach one are on the insides. Here's some additional character concept art pieces as well by Carla. She made ones for this Captain Von Tez character and the, I don't recall the name of these characters, but they were the plant couple as well that she designed. And they also used some early alien concept art that I created for the Gladden family themselves. Here also we have the suburb dark ride attraction, which I made another poster for as well. Again, you can see the Zion National Park influence. It's the same poster, but decided to make it pretty fun. It was a big inspiration piece. And then Alec designed this alien family over here. And let's see. Thanks. And then we have our space camp. So here's a quick sort of mood board for what the space camp entails. Here was a model from Jack and his master planning model. And on the inspiration, you can see the rocket rides, definitely inspired by the Golden Zephyr. You have the two drop rides. Here in the art we created, it is the taller one is a comet themed drop ride, and the smaller one is an asteroid theme. Then we have our moon buggies and our galactic creatures carousel. Then we'll move on to our vehicles.
Next are our Stargrove vehicles, from UFOs to flying cars. I designed a set of biomimicry-inspired spacecrafts. Sharks and manta rays are known for their speed and for being hydrodynamic, so I thought I could apply their basic shape but to be more aerodynamic for space. So I designed these spacecrafts based off their structure, but also streamlined and added an alien twist. And then here are some ride vehicles seen throughout Stargrove attractions.
All right, and then I'll quickly talk about our alien inhabitants of Stargrove, which we have so many. Here we go. Now, these were some pretty early concepts I did for aliens. Pre-story change, we had sort of one alien race until that story change. We were able to kind of go crazy with how many aliens we were able to design. So kind of the sky was the limit for it. You see this tentacled one a lot throughout different attractions, sort of as the main sort of species that inhabit Stargrove, but then you have a whole host of characters coming from any which way throughout the galaxy. Same with here, we have that jazz band and some aliens by Mary Crawford. Additionally, here are some more aliens that were created by many people. You got Alex's aliens, Bailey's, I think Matt designed the punk teen and the doctor, and then Frederick's aliens down here, and Emily designed this guy for the Galactic Exchange. And then we'll talk about our nighttime spectacular. Again, this is a poster I created for the Gate Showcase, highlighting the different sort of technological aspects, and these three pieces were sort of pre-story change when it used to be an alien sort of battle. Here is our first two acts of a flying car showcase and the portal technology showcase. And then we have our water showcase. And finally, I wanted to shout this out for they didn't get to mention this, for this piece was finished pretty late on. This is the Alexandrian final act of the Nighttime Spectacular that the app team mentioned that you could sort of display images and pictures from throughout the day. So you can see those in these memory balls.
Lastly, here's a collection of all of our attraction posters we created. We collectively aimed for a retro aesthetic and was greatly inspired by vintage postcards and posters.
really quickly, just wanted to go over some insights and takeaways. Very much the concept artists were aimed to understand the importance of adjustment and implementing changes and suggestions, balancing that creative and feasibility relationship, and playing to each strength of team members and knowing what work to sort of delegate to different people when you end up having a lot of work to do. So, and finally, we wanted to have a huge thank you to our amazing and wonderful mentor, Justin Martin from Meow Wolf. He was an amazing mentor to have and sort of guide us on this process, and to our amazing managers for organizing this whole project, and all the amazing concept artists throughout different teams. So, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.